Welcome to another video on the Life After Brady channel. Today we're going to take a look back at Julian Edelman's 2019 season and what it means for 2020. 2020 will be Edelman's first year without Tom Brady after playing 10 years with the Patriot great. He's currently 33 years old. As of this recording, will turn 34 later this month and enter the season as a 34-year-old. Edelman had a dynamic 2019, failed to make the Pro Bowl because the NFL doesn't like him, but absolutely had a fantastic year with 100 catches, 1,117 yards and 6 touchdowns. He played 87% of the snaps in 2019, which I think is very noteworthy. You know, they struggled to obviously find a second trustworthy receiver with Gronk's departure, and that led to him playing 80% of the snaps. I don't think it's indicative of how healthy he was, which is part of the reason towards the later part of the year he was less productive. And I definitely think you'll see that 87% number go significantly down in 2020. I expect it to be more probably the 75% range to 80% range would be my guess. I think you'll see more Jacoby Myers, N'Keal Harry, hopefully Mohamed Sanu, and that should allow Edelman to play a little bit less, kind of more what they got into Gronk in the later part of his career, of just playing him less. They could even, I think, sit him a game or two. He's an ultra competitor, so I find that a little hard to believe, but I could see him trying to sneak him out for one game just to get him that much healthier, maybe around the bye week, give him a 2-week stretch out to keep him healthy as he turns 34 and, ages into his 30s. I also include his salary here. He's got 2 years remaining on his deal. A pretty big cap hit in 2020 of $10 million, nearly. I think there's a chance you see that get tweaked this offseason as they sign maybe one or two more free agents and, look to get that draft class in. There's a chance they move that $3.3 million base salary somewhat into signing, kick maybe $1 million down the road into 2020. The only thing I'm not sure of there is, with such, unsure financial picture what the salary cap will be in 2020, with an aging guy in Edelman, you usually don't want to kick guys that are 34 years old. You're going to be 35 in 2021, kick that salary down the road, but we'll see. Obviously, Nick Caserio and company know how to manage that salary better than we do here on YouTube. Let's take a quick look at his 2019 game chart. As I said, 100 catches, over 1,000 yards was pretty good consistently throughout the year. To me, I just draw your attention to a couple points. Week 7 against the Jets through Week 9 against Baltimore were okay. Coming off of 200-yard games, against the Jets, they won 33-0. So not a lot there in the passing game. And then against Cleveland, he did have 8 catches for 80 yards, so pretty good there. But the only other comparable stretch to me is the last 3 games, which is why I say he was injured, and many people believe he was injured. 2 catches, 5 catches, 3 catches, 2 of those 3 games under 26 yards. I mean, that's not the Julian Edelman we knew, and I think you can see in the film a little bit is how injured he is, and just the beating his body took, which is why I think they'll look to protect him more in 2020. This is looking a little bit more at his career as a Patriot. I think it's noteworthy for a couple of reasons. With so many young receivers right now, Jacoby Myers, N'Keal Harry, and a couple others, it's important to look back at his early career as a Patriot. Those back in the Wes Welker days. And I just want to, bring up that he wasn't a nothing. Now, his second and third year clearly was nothing. 7 catches and 4 catches his second and third year, respectively. But his rookie year, he did have 359 yards, which is as many as Jacoby Meyer had last year. So he did contribute, and then obviously 2013 he exploded, which I'll draw your attention to the bottom of the screen. He is the chance this year to pass Wes Welker in terms of Patriots' career receptions. With another 73 receptions, he will tie Welker, and then 74 he'll pass Welker. I think that's the number to watch in 2020. I think the Patriots are going to make sure he gets to that number. 2018, he nearly got to it, with the 4-game suspension due to PEDs. 2017, obviously, tore his ACL against Detroit in the preseason. So I think that you'll see him at least get the 75 to make sure he sets that record. I think that is important for the Patriots in 2020. And then I draw your attention to the middle of the screen, some of the advanced metrics per Pro Football Reference. You're kind of nitpicking some of it, especially he only played 4 games. I've played 4 games less, in 2018, but 2 numbers stand out to me. First, the yards per catch per reception was up in 2019, a little under 7 yards per before catch in 2018 versus 2019. It was 8 yards. And that just means he was forced to stretch the field a little bit more. I expect that number to come down in 2020. Older guy, obviously going to be a little bit slower. I'm not going to say he's a step slower, but certainly not going to be as fast. I expect that to come down a little bit. More Jacoby Myers, N'Keal Harry, and the vertical passing game of the tight ends. I expect to fill that need at 10 to 15 yards, which is what Edelman really had to fill last year with the lack of guys. And then the drops, he had 13 drops in 2019. I believe it's related to injuries personally. You look at some of the later games against Houston, Kansas City, the Dolphins, and there were just some uncharacteristic drops, and I think you'll see that part of the reason why he plays less snaps in 2020. With that being said, though, let's take a look at the film. When people think about Julian Edelman, they think of him as a little slot receiver, can make one guy miss, he'll go down, get 6 or 7 yards for Tom Brady. They don't think of him as a Pro Bowl wide receiver. This is a Pro Bowl wide receiver, and he should have been in 2019. He unfortunately wasn't. But we'll take a look against Washington why he absolutely was. He's at the top of the screen right now as the slot receiver, and we'll just roll the tape. That's not fair. I mean, he just does it all absolutely against Josh Norman there. It's a deep route, comes in, cuts out, and the mindfulness to catch the ball, get his feet in. He really does it all in this play. Great footwork, sets up his defender, gets his eyes back to the quarterback, catches the football, and make sure you finish the play, get your feet in bounds. He absolutely does it all for a fantastic play. For the last 10 years, Julian Edelman has caught passes from Tom Brady with nearly 600 regular season touchdowns. In 2020, he'll face a very different situation as he will not be catching footballs from Tom Brady. And part of what obviously Edelman is very good at is the connection he has with Brady of understanding, when to sit in zones, when to keep going with man coverage, and what the right route is. Here he is against Washington. He's a slot. He's the number 2 receiver at the bottom of your screen. It looks pretty simple. He's wide open. He scores. It's Washington. But to me, if you look at the subtleties, you can see the connection between the two of them I've had for the last 10 years and what they'll struggle to replace in 2020. We'll take a look at the film first. He's in a little in route. He's free, catches it, touchdown. And it could be that simple. I think to me, it looks a little bit different. He knows exactly how to hang up right here. And then in all that one motion as he's hanging up to make sure he's not going into the linebacker, he also then dives towards the end zone knowing where he has to get. Diving towards the end zone, I think that will stay. But just the ability to know when to slow up, that faith that Tom's going to give him the ball right then. We take a look from the end zone view. He's on the right side of your screen here. And just that ability to know where the zone is. Tom knows where the zone is and knows when he's going to give him the football. That's what the Patriots will struggle to replace in 2020. One of the changes for me in 2019 with Julian Edelman was just they had to go down the field more with him. There wasn't, with Gronk out of the picture and not attacking the middle of the field, Edelman had to do it a little bit, and he also just had to attack defenders himself one-on-one. Here he is in the slot, top of the screen against Josh Norman. Usually here you're thinking, a little 5-yard option route, it's a little slant route. He's forced to run a 10-yard out route, and boy, does he run a 10-yard out route here. And again, just absolutely great job. Beats him inside immediately, which is where Edelman's trying to be. So he's attacking the middle of the field. He's going to go, keep doing a little over route, keep attacking vertically, stop, or the other option is go out, which is what he does, and forces the defensive holding against Norman, but frees him up. And most importantly, with Edelman, he makes the catch, and that's the biggest difference between him and the other Patriots receivers. Just a surefire guy with his hands. Absolutely automatic, and a great catch here by Jules. We're going to show you a route here in 2019 that I think you'll see more of in 2020. Doesn't work out well. It's a little bubble route. Jacoby Myers misses the block here, but I think you'll see more of this in 2020. Just nice, easy, simple throws. Get out to your receivers, and I think Edelman will still be the guy that does this. I mean, there's a chance you see the new tight end out of Virginia Tech, or maybe Sanu doing this, but I think Edelman's still the one uniquely possessed to to run these routes. He's got the footwork. He's tough enough to take this hit. So I think you'll see more of this in 2020. Excuse me. You just hope that Jacoby Myers, a year of strength under him, or maybe N'Keal Harry, a better blocker, can do a little bit more for Julian Edelman and protect him in 2020. To me, this is one of the interesting plays from 2019. We'll see how it evolves in 2020. Edelman's currently at the bottom of the screen, going in motion. He's going to run a deep over route off the play action. Does a nice job catching the 11-yard crossing route. Does a great job getting down. He knows Brady's going to protect him. Gets down. Nice wide open space. Obviously acres of space. You could see a lot of play action to me in 2020, which is why I think this is a possibility. I think you won't see a ton of this from Edelman in 2020, for a couple of reasons. I think guys like Mohamed Sanu, N'Keal Harry, Jacoby Myers be more likely to be running this route. Just in 2019, they didn't have faith and they just didn't have the bodies to do this. Josh Gordon's playing this game. I think Philip Dorsett's playing this game, but you just didn't have as much faith in those guys running their route in 2020. And then the other interesting thing to me is, you can see it more in this view, Brady and Edelman, they know how to protect each other. They know how to look out for each other. You're going to see Edelman does a nice job of, kind of settling into the zone. He keeps going as the defender's on his back, but he knows with that's Landon Collins, 21, in the frame. Brady's going to get the ball down, make sure to protect him. You'd be a little concerned about a new first-year quarterback, second-year quarterback, I guess. Aaron is receiver out to dry here. Brady obviously doesn't do that. So we'll see how much we have of that in 2020, and hopefully Stidham or Hoyer can connect and protect Edelman the way Brady did. A concept the Patriots went to occasionally in 2019 was crossing routes between Jacoby Myers and Julian Edelman. Edelman's the second receiver at the bottom of your screen in the slot. Myers is the outside receiver at the top of the screen. They're going to run about 10-yard crossing routes. You see it, I think, a lot. Myers and Edelman don't have premier speed, so you want to get them up the field a little bit. Allow them to have more one-on-one matchups, get them over the linebackers, and then cross. They do it a lot. Edelman's got great hands. He makes a play here, 3rd and 5 against Houston. And I think you'll just see more of it in 2020 if you can use the offensive line with more protection. As David Andrews comes back, another year under his belt for Isaiah Wynn. I think you'll see more of this, and they're comfortable with Myers and Edelman running these routes. As Edelman gets a little older, I think you'll see less of these routes, but so maybe Mohamed Sanu mixes in a little bit there. But I still think that's where they're comfortable with Myers, and you want to run this little two-man concept. You'll see more of this. I think the third thing that it's hard to know is with the tight ends, with such a lack of an option in 2019, that here they're just used as a chip and release guy. Is there more vertical threats or just playing out threats in the passing game in 2020? Will they be able to fit these guys in more for those crossing routes or vertical threats where they weren't in 2019? To me, get used to seeing a lot more of this in 2020. Julian Edelman's at the top of the screen, the second receiver in the slot. Going to run a little drag route, cross route. He's going to get hit pretty good. He's able to spin out of it. He's a tough guy. Takes the hit and moves on. But I think you're going to see a lot more of this in 2020. Man-to-man coverage. Stidham's going to identify his matchup. Edelman, to me, even though in his 30s, I think he'll still be the primary receiver the Patriots look to go to in 2020, and he's got a clear view, center of the field. He's going to get the ball, no doubt about that, and I think you're just going to see more of these hits in 2020. Brady does a good job protecting him most of the time. Sometimes, Julian obviously has to take the hit, and I think he'll take more hits in 2020. These are the plays that made Julian Edelman a future Patriots Hall of Famer, potentially an NFL Hall of Famer in his career. But these are the plays I get concerned about that you're not going to be able to see moving forward as he moves into his mid-30s. Edelman is one tough SOB, and he's clearly here against Houston, Week 13. He's feeling it a little bit late in the game. He ends up putting up 100 yards in this game. Makes contact with the safety, just absolutely runs through it, gets his head up, catches the football, gets a first down for the Patriots. I mean, it's fantastic. I just don't know how much more you're going to see of this, how much of a beating this guy can take. Clearly, for a long time, it's been a lot, and I think you can still see a little bit more of this. I just get concerned about seeing 16 games of this. I don't think you're going to see that in 2020. I think it's much more reasonable. You'll see him play more 80% of the snaps, maybe 70% of the snaps, and only a couple of those games. A couple less games, excuse me.